Let's get straight to it. Giancarlo, the former chair of the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, just made a very interesting statement. He said that the U.S. government issuing bonds backed by crypto assets like Bitcoin and XRP is, and I quote, more than a possibility. That's not a small prediction. This is coming from someone who was appointed during the Trump administration and is often referred to as Crypto Dad for his early support of blockchain. Giancarlo shared these views during an interview with Bradley Kimes from Digital Perspective, held at the XRPL Apex 2025 conference in Singapore. Now, here's why his comments matter and what it might mean for the future of crypto in the U.S. So, first of all, let's look at the idea itself, issuing government bonds backed by digital assets. That sounds bold and maybe even futuristic. But Giancarlo was very clear. He said this could happen not just at the federal level, but also at state and local levels. In his own words, more than a possibility. And he believes we might actually see this in action before too long. Now here's where things get even more interesting. He explained that this idea isn't just theoretical anymore. In fact, the current U.S. administration, under President Trump, has already begun to change how it treats digital assets seized in legal cases. Instead of immediately selling them off, as was the standard practice in past administrations, the White House is now choosing to hold these assets. Giancarlo said that if the government had held on to the Bitcoin it confiscated years ago, the value increase could have helped reduce national debt. That's a huge statement, and it reveals a major shift in how digital assets are being viewed, not as just volatile tokens, but as potential long-term financial tools. And it doesn't stop at just holding them. He compared this digital asset strategy to how the U.S. manages its strategic petroleum reserve. That oil reserve isn't just for energy emergencies. It's a powerful tool used to influence prices and market behavior. Giancarlo says crypto could be used the same way. Let's pause here for a second. This is a key point. If the U.S. government begins treating crypto reserves the way it does with oil, it would mean they might buy and hold Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, and others, not just for value, but also as a way to influence economic conditions. For example, if global crypto markets become too volatile, or if another country starts to dominate that space, like China with its digital yuan or BRICS nations developing alternatives to the U.S. dollar, then having a strategic reserve gives the U.S. leverage. And this isn't just talk. Back in March 2025, President Trump signed an executive order to create what they're calling the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. That reserve already holds more than 200,000 Bitcoin, worth around $22 billion at today's prices. This Bitcoin was mostly taken from criminal and civil seizures. The idea? Treat it like digital gold, a long-term store of value that stays locked away. But there's more. The administration also set up something called the Digital Asset Stockpile. This includes other cryptos like XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano. Unlike the Bitcoin Reserve, this one allows controlled sales, which gives the Treasury some flexibility in managing these assets as part of economic policy. So what does this all mean for XRP? Well, if we take Giancarlo's statement seriously, and given his background, we probably should, then XRP isn't just a speculative coin anymore. It might become part of a broader financial strategy by the U.S. government. That could include backing bonds, building reserves, and even using XRP to manage market forces, just like oil. In short, XRP could move from the sidelines to the center of U.S. financial planning. To wrap up, Giancarlo's message is clear. The U.S. might not just regulate crypto, it might use it. Use it to back financial products, to hold national reserves, and even to compete economically on a global scale. Whether you're an investor, a skeptic, or just someone trying to understand where crypto fits into the future, this is a development worth watching very closely. Because if crypto-backed U.S. bonds do become a reality, and XRP is part of that, we're not just talking about market prices anymore. We're talking about national policy. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, sometimes the biggest changes start quietly, with just a few words, more than a possibility.